Good morning, Bravehearts, and good morning, Garfield, New Jersey. Welcome back to Marv. Marv in the morning, baby. How you doing? How you doing? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. We're back up in this jazz. And, I always forget to mute my phone. I always forget to do that. But yeah, it feels good to be back. It's a mondo gloomy day here in Garfield. I can't see the sun. I can't see the sun. And it's kind of gray out. But you need the gloomy days for the sunny days to be that much more beautiful, right? Got to take the good with the bad, right? Well, not that it's bad weather, but yeah, man. Heart goes out to everybody dealing with this hurricane in the Caribbean and in the South. You know, one of the things I definitely don't do enough of is show love to my motherland, Dominican Republic. So everybody dealing with that over there, especially, prayers and hearts goes out to you too, family members and just people from my people. You know what I mean? But today's topic is how to build a strong podcast brand. How to build a strong brand. I think many people misinterpret the meaning of the word brand or don't understand the onion layers of it. There's a lot of layers to that. The timestamps will be in the description. If you're watching post live, you can skip ahead to the meat and potatoes. But if this is your first time watching, hey, make sure you hit that subscription button. Hit the subscription button. Give the video a thumbs up. Notification bell. You want to be notified whenever we go live. We go live at 9 a.m. Eastern time every morning, Monday through Thursday. And it's the best. We're just the best. We're the best over here in Bravery Studios. If you're looking to start a podcast, look no further. Bravery Studios is the place to do it. With our monthly memberships, we take care of all the heavy lifting for you. Editing, uploading, graphic design, live streaming. We do it all here. We make it as simple as possible for you to just come here, speak your mind, get on that microphone, do your thing, leave all the monotonous heavy lifting to us. Join a community of over 20 podcasts that record here weekly. Take part in the events that we host, and join the family. Yo, Brian Green in the building. How you doing, brother? How you doing? Good job with the Marco Dobre interview. That kid's going places. He's gonna be big. So great job with landing that interview. But we also have a Discord. If you want to head over to our description, you can get the Discord link. Join us. Join the community. Submit your podcast for me to review and all that jazz. I'll listen to it while setting up the Marv in the Morning show, and I'll give you a live review. I tell you the honest truth, what I think of it. And I'm not as brutal as the American Idol guy or who's the Hell's Kitchen guy. I don't even know these people's names. Honest, constructive criticism is what I'm offering. October 22nd, Ladies of Bravery event is going down. We have 3 amazing podcasts performing for you. I guess I would call it a performance. Why not? You're in front of a crowd doing your podcast. It is a performance, and definitely worth the ticket. We have Illa's Girls Next Door. We have The Spiritual Tip and the No Filter podcast. Each of them are going to be doing their thing that night. So pull up October 22nd. Eventbrite coming soon. I say that like every episode. I got to do it today. But we're looking for vendors too. If you want to be a vendor that night, contact me. Email, Instagram, wherever you're watching this at. If you want to be a vendor, reach out to me. We'll make it happen. Had a great weekend. Had a mondo great weekend. We released the interview with Osei the artist. He's doing a mural here in Bravery. It's one of my good pals that I've met on this journey, and we chopped it up. It was an audio only recording. I wanted to focus mainly on the interview And the Live from Bravery Studios interviews are still in the development phase. I haven't figured out exactly how I want the format to be. So right now I'm just like experimenting with it, doing one episode audio, one episode video, doing it in different locations here in the studio. Last Saturday I interviewed Big Bad Diabla, and she got very vulnerable on the mic. For those that are just curious, she's an exotic dancer. We had a very tasteful interview. Very professional interview, and she had a lot of heart. She put a lot of heart into the interview, so I hope you guys check it out. That's going to be coming out this Saturday and at noon. I'm very excited for that one because we also recorded it in the Valor Room. Now the Valor Room isn't complete yet, but I wanted to bless it with the first interview in there, and she was honored to be the first interview there too. So Valor Room's coming along well. By October 15th we'll be rocking and rolling in there. I still have a couple pieces of furniture that's flying in from wherever God knows that these pieces of furniture flying from. So look forward to that. But yeah, we had a great interview. I'm looking forward to her podcast. She should be starting a podcast soon. So look forward to that. Look forward to the interview. Look forward to her starting her own podcast. And yeah, good things, big things on the horizon. Big things on the horizon for sure. The weekend was great. The daily shout out today goes out to the Dining with Nadiva podcast. This is my little sister right here, guys. This is Nadiva. She's been rock and rolling with us for a year, and her podcast is very unique in that they review restaurants live on the show. She gets dishes from all over New York, New Jersey. Does it live, just goes in on a plate and tells you what she thinks about it. I've gotten some great meals out of that podcast, that's for sure. And then she speaks on relationships and scripture, and she has a nice niche. I tell her all the time, you have a great niche. I really need to nail down how I'm gonna pronounce niche or niche. I'm still putting that together, but yes, shout out to Dining with Nadiva. Absolutely love her. Absolutely love the team. They are indeed going to be recording going forward at a new location, and I wish her the best in her endeavors. Make sure you check it out. Subscribe to her podcast. They're on the road to 1,000 subscribers at the moment. Give it a look. Check it out. See if you like it. I know I've learned a lot watching that podcast, or recording that podcast rather, producing that podcast even better. Yeah, learned a lot, ate a lot, and got a lot of heart for Nadia. She's a sweetheart. Now let's dive into the meat and potatoes, shall we? Let's go right into the meat and potatoes. Once again, the title of this episode is "How to Develop a Strong Podcast Brand." How to develop a strong brand. There's a lot of layers to a brand, not just in podcasting, but in everything. And it's one of those things you have to be mindful of with every move you make in your podcasting journey or business journey, honestly. Every move you make has to consider the brand and the mission of the brand. And I think that many people hear brand and they think just a logo and maybe like music, like a little jingle in the beginning, but there's a lot to it. There is a lot to it, a lot more to it. And it really covers every facet of your podcast. It really does. Your brand is your identity. I think more so than just a logo or a look, it's your identity, and it's how other people identify you and relate to you. Your podcast brand is very mondo important. So the first thing I would say, if you want to build a strong brand, you want to stand out from the crowd, you want to search for the availability of your podcast name. I think I've covered this in another topic also. It's fundamental that you look for a name that's not already taken out there. More so, not just so that you stand out, but so that you have a uniform appearance online. I'm going to get deeper into that in a little bit, but search for the name of your podcast. Search for the availability on GoDaddy for the website. Search on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Make sure there's no one out there with the same podcast name as you. Let's hope that you have a simple and clean podcast name, that it's not too long, not too wordy, not too hard to say. You want to keep it simple as possible. And we're going to refer to a lot of other brands outside of podcasting that people are going to be familiar with as references to do it, because it really, really works in every medium. Having a strong brand is not just a podcast thing. That's everything. Restaurants, businesses, television shows, all these things. Everything has a brand. Even you as a human being, you have a brand. Your brand of comedy, your style. We'll get deeper. We're going to dig deeper. But yes, first thing I would say is check for the availability of whatever's on your mind. If you have 1,000 titles on a sheet of paper, look up all of them. Make sure that you have that .com and lock that in. Once you nail in what you want the podcast title to be, the name of the podcast, lock that in. Lock in that website. Lock in that .com. Do you necessarily need a .com anymore? I mean, almost every .com is taken. You don't. It's not a cross to die on, but it does help. It does help it look more professional if you have the .com. It really does. The next thing is focusing on your audience. I probably always bring this up all the time. It's a narrow in on a niche. I was even just talking about it when speaking on the Divas podcast. Focus on your niche. Focus on your audience. Your topic for your podcast is your brand too. That's one of the layers too in that onion, that podcast onion that is your branding. If you're a podcast about cars, you don't need to speak about planes, or at least don't venture too far off into that space and create a whole episode about it. Cater to your audience. Know your audience. Know why they're there. Don't venture off into music if your podcast is about movies, unless you're speaking about music in movies. But cater to your audience. You know why they're there, and you know what they came here to hear. If you have a great niche, you know why they're there and what's the most important thing they want to hear. Cater to it. Now, if I'm going to relate Marv in the Morning to that, everything I speak about here, at least to an extent, is podcast related. This is a YouTube series where we cover pretty much podcasting tips and ideas or whatnot. So, I try not to venture too far off into other topics. I do speak about my weekend and events going on here in Bravery Studios. But for the most part, the core of what we speak of every episode is podcasting. So that's what people come here for. I mean, maybe you're coming here for me, you're being supportive, but to grow this audience for Marv in the Morning, I must speak on what the episode is about, or what the series is about. Podcasting tips and ideas and advice. That's the core of what I must cover in every episode, right? And that leads us into the next topic, which is define your podcast mission and vision. Okay, so if I'm going to do this Marv in the Morning style, my mission with this Marv in the Morning series is to educate everyone on how to establish themselves in the podcasting world, how to build a strong brand, which we're covering today, the do's and do nots, the podcasting 101 of it all. That's the mission. The mission is for everyone that watches this to walk away with a general kind of idea of how to perform well in the podcasting space, which is, in any pretty much genre or topic or any niche. These are the core values of any podcast, regardless of what you're speaking on that podcast, right? Define that for yourself. Can you have those same sentences that I just said? Can you say the same thing about what you're doing on your podcast? If your podcast is just, hey, we just want to barbershop talk it, we just want to walk in a room, record our conversation because we're funny, cool too, but define it. Let people know why they're there. If your podcast is to kind of just rant about general topics randomly, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, you're going to have a hard time growing. You can find an audience, but defining what your mission is and being able to articulate the vision of it. Like, where do I envision Marv in the morning? The vision, I mean, pretty much what you're seeing here is the vision. You need to be able to define that for your podcast as well. This is, once again, developing a strong brand. That's what we're doing today. The next step is finding your podcast voice. Maybe this doesn't really apply to everyone, because some people just want to naturally speak how they speak on their show. Maybe you don't even realize that the way you speak naturally is already a unique voice. Everyone has their little eccentricities, right? In their verbiage. I'm Dominican, right? And Dominicans, I think someone said to me one time, Dominicans don't speak Spanish; they sing Spanish, because of the rhythmic patterns of the Dominicans, right? Of us Dominicans. But that's a voice. That's a style. That's a way of delivering information in a unique style. So when you're doing podcasting, which most of the time is audio, right? You're doing this in audio form. Even if you're doing video, the core of what you're doing is delivering something verbally to someone, information verbally. You want to develop a voice kind of your own. You could go the super professional route with your tone being somewhat news style, or even comedically, like a stand-up comedian delivers information, or professionally, there's not much humor in your tone, and maybe people appreciate that you are the brass facts. There's no fat in what you're saying. It's bluntly providing information. A lot of political podcasts might be like that, or informational podcasts, educational podcasts might be a little more serious. But defining your voice, defining your tone, mondo important, establishing your brand, establishing a strong brand. Keeping it on point too. I find it may be bizarre sometimes when someone checks in on you and your manner of speaking on the show, or the tone of the show is just so far off than what they're used to, right? The next step is to stand out visually and creatively. Standing out visually. This is for people that are doing video podcasts, right? Video podcasts. Listen, you see 1,000 faces a week on the internet. So many talking heads. So many talking heads on the internet. You don't want to just be another talking head. This is why, particularly me, I will try to stand out visually. I mean, I altered my appearance for doing this show. I definitely did. I do shopping a lot nowadays. Now that I'm doing a morning show 4 days a week. And we went to the mall last weekend to try to find some clothes, and it was like, I'm never going to the mall again. Never again. Hate the mall. But yeah, stand out visually and creatively. Now, the creative portion of that statement is more in the sense of do things on your show that other people aren't doing. You gotta stand out. You have to definitely stand out. One way I do it is of course doing this with a little more humor. I've watched a lot of like podcasting advice videos and tips and podcasting 101 stuff, and it's delivered a little more serious than probably I would do it. I try to have some chuckles up here, at least for the most part. Try to do this a little comedically. Even the thumbnails I make are a little more humorous, and I hope they will gather more attention because of that. That's my goal with it. I try not to make this such a serious affair. Like I tell some people, I like the Sesame Street formula of educating and entertaining at the same time. I dig how they do that. Sesame Street nails that, knocks it out the park every time with that. So try to do something similar here. Comedically delivering educational information, right? That's what I try to do. The next thing, create a uniform look on all platforms. Uniformity is important, and it shows you. It shows someone else how much attention and care you put into your brand, right? what is uniformity when it comes to podcasting or when it comes to the internet in general? You know, did you search for the availability of your name on every platform already? Yes. Okay. So now, live from Bravery Studios. Let's use that as an example. Is that name available on Instagram? Is that your name on Instagram? Is that your name on TikTok? Is that your name on Facebook? Is that your name on YouTube? You know, you want a uniform name across everything. Or not, you're going to be spewing a whole bunch of links and plugs at the end of your podcast. It's going to take 10 minutes to deliver. When I could just say, hey, look me up, Bravery Studios on everything. Your logo needs to be uniform on every platform as well. Your website. You want the same image to appear every time someone searches up your name. If not, other people, they'll think it's a different podcast. You want a uniform look across every platform, maybe even across your clothing, your t-shirts or whatnot. You want everything to be uniform. It definitely shows your audience like this is a professional brand. These guys put care into what they're doing. You know what I mean? You don't see McDonald's having 30 different logos on every platform. They may alter it from time to time, but you don't really see them using different names or different logos on Twitter than they use on like Instagram. I don't follow McDonald's particularly, so I don't really know for a fact. But I'm gonna say that's a safe assumption. Safe assumption on any platform. Also, having a simple logo goes into the uniformity of your podcast, and keeping a color scheme of about 3 colors for your podcast too. If I was to say for Bravery Studios, I like the wood grain look. Bravery Studios uniform look, I think, is I don't even think I know for a fact because I built this brand, is the Carpenter. Even the way I dress is kind of like Carpenter style, vintage, Pax Americana, right? You see the wood grain colors like the tan, then just like black and white. I try to keep it simple with the color scheming. I do have variants, but for the most part, it's Bravery Studios is a wood grain look. That's our look. I thought it was unique. I have past experience in carpentry, so I definitely lean towards that look, that style. And I love that style, honestly. I love wood grain in general. Even my desk here is wood. I got a whole bunch of wood things behind me. I even have wooden jewelry. I try to like stay in the wood space when it comes to style. I definitely have a fixation for wood. But yeah, you want a simple logo, and you want that logo to be simple and identifiable regardless of what color it is. What do I mean by that? Well, you think of like the Nike check. That's their logo. It's just a check with text. It might say Nike underneath the check. It might not. But all you need to see is that check for you to identify that brand. Doesn't matter what color it's in. Doesn't matter what space it's in. The minute you see that check, you know what that is. And it's simple. It's simple as jazz, right? McDonald's, the same thing. The golden arches. Even if that color was to change and they're wearing golden, you would still be able to identify those arches, regardless of the color. 2 very simple logos. Bravery Studios logo is the microphone with the wings on it. I wish I had something on me. Do I have anything? Do I have it in front of me? Oh, well, it's on the thumbnail. I'll put it on the screen later. But yeah, Bravery Studios, the winged microphone is our logo. We do have the text that says Bravery Studios too, but even without that text, I am building this brand so that when you see that winged microphone, you identify Bravery Studios. And it's a simple 1-color logo. I see logos sometimes that are so over the top where it's like, here's all of our faces in cartoon style. That's good promotional material, but it's very complex and it won't work in every situation. You have to build a logo that can work in every situation. You very flexible logo, very flexible. So just think of other brands out there. Think of even like Disney or Marvel. Their logos are just text, but they're simple text. They're not giant graffiti or unreadable text from distances. You can read those texts from a distance. But keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS strategy. Shout out to Scarlett. Did you know McDonald's restaurants in Arizona have a teal M outside of the restaurant instead of yellow. I did not know that. I learn something new every day. Do you know why? Why do they have a teal logo? That's interesting. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with just having a text logo either. You can think of something like Sony, Marvel, a lot of TV shows. Their logo is just text. That's fine too, but just keep it simple. Keep it simple in a readable font. A font that's readable from a distance is easy to understand, not mistaken. I actually changed the font for Bravery Studios because the first logo I made for Bravery Studios, which I still love it, I still use it from time to time. It's on the Step and Repeat banner in the other room over there, but it would get confused a lot. People would read like Brewery Studios. I'm like, no, we're not brewing anything in here. Well, we're brewing podcasts in here, I guess, but no, we're not a brewery. Bravery Studios is who we are. So I changed the font to something a little more readable, and I don't get that problem anymore. I don't have that issue anymore. But simple logo, simple and clean, like the Kingdom Hearts song. Just keep it simple and clean. Don't go nuts with it. Like less is more. Less is more. Less is a lot more when it comes to like logos. And you want that logo to appear on every platform. Uniform it all. Uniform it all. That's even like the sounds you use too can be uniform. You want a consistent sound. If your logo appears with this sound across other platforms, keep it uniform. It looks good. It looks good on you. Next thing I have is to make guest appearances on other podcasts. Yeah, this one is marketing, and it's also creating a presence in the space that you're in. You see another podcast that has a similar niche to what you're doing. Could be the same exact niche, honestly. You guys are both speaking on, let's say, fast food restaurants, as we're already covering McDonald's. You find another podcast nearby, or even virtually, you want to collaborate with them. Go on their show. Become an authority in that space. Your brand is about that niche, right? Yeah, so jump into that space. Jump on other podcasts. Make your presence known across other podcasts that are doing something similar. Hopefully, this other podcast is at the same number as you as far as the following goes, as about give or take, less or more, right? You want to get with somebody that's doing something similar, that has a similar numbers to you. Then you're combining your audiences. You're also creating your name as an authority in that niche. Making it known that you're an authority on whatever topic you're speaking on is important. People are not going to value what you're saying if you're not an authority. Like, who's this guy? Make it known why you're authority. Like, come on other shows and explain why what I have to say is important. I am the owner of a podcasting studio. When I go on other platforms, I make that known. Like, hey, I've been operating in the podcasting space for 7 years. Bravery Studios has been open for 6 years. I'm an authority in the podcasting world. I guest star in other podcasts that pretty much speak on podcasts or other podcasting studios, right? But I'm an authority in this space. And when I make other guest appearances, it only adds to the value of what I'm speaking on, because they brought me on their show because they consider my brand to be an authority in the podcasting world. Bravery Studios, I'm very delicate with the brand. I will not. I used to be a little more flexible when I was starting out, of course, because you're just developing it at that point. But now I know that logo can't appear in front of everything. There's some things in some spaces I don't want that logo to show up. In the same way that when Disney is a family-friendly company, if they do a movie that's kind of outside of that brand of the family-friendly space, even though they are changing a little bit now, but they will probably have another studio that they own, be on the paperwork and on the marketing. It'll probably say, I forgot what it was called, Maximum Entertainment, something like that. Miramax, I think, was Disney owned. There's a lot of other companies also that Disney owns, and you'll see that logo before their logo, or if you see their logo at all, in some of the more adult-ish, movies that they've made. But yeah, uniform look. Make your appearance felt in other places, of similar places too, places that also align with your brand. If I am a family-friendly brand, then I most likely will not want to be on a podcast about, oh, we lost battery power in this one. You see, this is the issue that we're having here with that. 1 second. Speaking on being an authority over here, and we got battery issues. Hey, one more time, baby. Make light of joking as well. Make light of bad situations. I gotta really be on guard with this battery dying on me. DSLR cameras are a pain, but they're so beautiful to look at. But yeah, where were we? Yes, making an appearance on other podcasts. Find people similar to what you're doing. Team up with them. Knock it out the park. Do your thing on other spaces, right? Developing your tagline. Developing your tagline. Yeah, so this is important because you want people to be able to repeat this. You want people to be able to repeat this, your audience, right? So if Marv in the Morning's tagline is drinking coffee and dropping gems, even though I haven't really adopted that entirely yet, that's Jeps that provided that one for me. But I do like it. We'll see if it sticks. I got to be able to repeat it like every day without thinking. But if your tagline is drinking coffee and dropping gems, say it often. Say it often. Get your audience to say it. Get the team to say it. This brand has a tagline. It's a memorable tagline. So yeah, try to find something that's smooth, upon release, right? Try to find something that's easy to say, not too wordy. I've run into so many podcasts that have these long taglines that no one can repeat. You definitely want to pick something simple and clean. Less is more. I think that's the overall thing we want to keep in mind when doing this, right? When creating a strong brand, it's crazy how you think about it. The less you do, the less crazy or over the top you make it, the easier it is to build it strong, I guess. I guess you can think of it as stacking Legos. When you stack them up too high, they start to lean and fall because there's just too much going on. It's too much going up. When you have a small base and you're building just around the square and not too high up or not too much to the side, easier to maintain it. Much easier to maintain it. And the last thing I have on here is just to stay consistent with it. And I think this is something I'm always going to speak on. Just being consistent. You miss a month of podcasting. You miss episodes. You break promises that you make to your audience. Yeah, like your brand is weakening with every kind of miss you have. You might say, I don't promise my audience anything, but you already made a promise from starting a podcast. You've already gotten people to listen. You've already got an audience, a following, even albeit small to start with. You made a promise to your audience, and now you doing the pod fade. You've kind of weakened your brand and you've weakened your presence with doing that. You want to definitely stay consistent with anything you do because it's a promise to your audience. You miss a month of podcasting, people will forget you. That's a fact. The internet is so fickle. It's a fickle realm, the internet. You don't pod for a week, it's almost like you never existed to begin with. So you want to stay consistent. You want to maintain a presence online, like definitely, or even in the podcasting space, even on Apple and Spotify. Stay consistent with it. That is the end all be all of your brand. Even you yourself as a person, being a brand, you're not consistent with something, your brand is weakened. If I was a barber and hey, I don't show up to work a lot, People ain't gonna want to get their hair cut from me. Yeah, like this guy never shows up. Why would I even try to get my hair cut from that guy? But yeah, that's the roots of the sauce, Bravehearts. That is the roots of the sauce. And thanks for kicking it. Nice, simple, and clean episode today. Battery malfunction and whatnot. Consistency is tough. It definitely is. It's definitely not easy. But I think that it's easier to be consistent when you're realistic with yourself. When you're realistic about what you know you can pull off. If you're realistic with yourself and you say, "Hey, I can only podcast every 2 weeks. I have to do this bi-weekly because I have so much going on. I can only dedicate time to it every other week." As long as you maintain consistency with that, then you should be fine. You don't have to release an episode every week. You don't have to dedicate 10 hours to it every week. But whatever you decide on, once you're realistic with yourself about what you can pull off, and you have to base that judgment on other things you've done in life. Once you're consistent, once you're realistic, you can be consistent. You know, admit to yourself, like, I can only do the gym 3 times a week. I'm not even going to pretend that I can go to the gym more than that. And I can only do an hour at the gym. I just end up honestly, I get bored at the gym sometimes. Or I just feel like, I got to get out of here. I got to go home, shower. I got to get the rest of my day started. So I don't pretend like, I'm going to go hammer in like 5 days out of the week doing this. No, you have to be consistent with it. You be realistic about what you can pull off. But yeah, I know what you mean. It is hard to do when you're in a group too, because you have to keep your group motivated. But then you also have to be realistic with what the capabilities of your group is too then, right? You got to know, all right, I only have XYZ here. He's only able to make it from these times to these times. He's only able to be here on certain days. Be realistic with what your crew can pull off too. That's a fact. Be realistic. I got to be realistic with this camera. I got to get a plug-in camera instead of this battery powered, because DSLR batteries die pretty fast. So we're going to be working on that today. But yeah, Bravehearts, stay consistent. It's all about your brand. Your brand is your image. Your brand is your identity. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. But Bravehearts, I think that's all we got for today. Thanks for kicking it with me. Just come back from Marv in the morning. We'll be back again tomorrow. Look forward to the Big Bad Diabla interview this Saturday dropping. Oh, new cameras. Yeah, new cameras coming soon. But yeah, Bravehearts, we're out of here. Stay brave. Keep chasing that dream. Peace.